So today we're going to be talking about trees for pollinators in your garden. And flowering trees are an important source of pollen and nectar for pollinators and are great because they provide a large amount of food at one time. They are especially important in spring when tired and overwintered bees emerge and need to feed. Maples and willows are notable trees that provide an early supply of food, followed by apples and cherries like this one, which bloom a bit later and provide beautiful blossoms and an excellent source of food. The recent decline in the bee population has everyone worried, including farmers and gardeners, and planting pollinating-friendly trees and shrubs is one of the ways that you can help these essential species by providing a long-term balanced habitat. Trees and shrubs for bees can provide nesting opportunities for both bees and other insects. Trees are helpful to pollinators not just for their flowers, but also as windbreaks and as shelter. Foraging bees and other pollinators get easily blown away. As an example, honeybees can't withstand winds of over 40 kilometers an hour. Your best bet when planting trees for pollinators is to select a mix of deciduous and conifer trees, and ideally shrubs too. Conifers are not pollinated by insects, but they do provide an excellent source of wind protection for bees. The fallen branches of trees are the preferred nesting spots for many kinds of bees. Even the hollow stems of shrubs can provide nesting spots for some small bees, like the tiny harebell carpenter bee. So which trees are particularly good for bees? We're going to look at 7 varieties of trees that would be good to grow in your garden to provide pollen and nectar for the pollinators visiting your garden. So this is a hazel, or its Latin name is Corylus avellana, and it has these beautiful yellow catkins that appear before the leaves in around mid-February, and it's a great source for bees and other insects. It releases clouds of pollen into the air. It's also really beautiful because it has these lovely leaves in early spring, and then these leaves turn a beautiful golden colour in the autumn. It's also great for a small garden because you can coppice it, you can cut it right back, and if left unchecked and you don't prune it, it can grow up to about 12 metres, and hazels can live for about 80 years. This is Salix caprea, or goat willow, and it has these beautiful yellow fluffy catkins early in the spring and is an excellent source of pollen and nectar for bees and other insects. It also has these lovely green leaves which are eaten by moths and caterpillars. Willow is also an excellent plant for wet and boggy areas because it soaks up lots of moisture. If left unchecked, these can grow to about 10 metres and live for about 300 years. So this is Crataegus monogyna, or hawthorn, and it has these beautiful green toothed leaves early in the spring, which are followed by an explosion of white or pink flowers in late April, May, and they are highly scented, and once pollinated they turn to beautiful berries for the birds in autumn. The flowers, when they come, are a mecca for pollinators such as bees. They can grow up to about 15 metres, but are brilliant as a wildlife hedge or as a single stem tree. So this is Prunus avium, or wild cherry, and it's one of our prettiest native plants, loved by gardeners and wildlife alike. It has these beautiful white blossoms in the spring around April and lovely bright red juicy fruits in the autumn. Cherries are actually hermaphrodite, meaning they have both male and female reproductive parts on each flower. And if left to grow, cherries can grow to around 30 metres and live for more than 60 years. The RHS recommends a lovely variety called Pink Perfection or Cursor for a small garden. So this is Malus sylvestris, or crabapple, and it's one of our beautiful native flowering trees. It has these lovely white blossoms in springtime which are brilliant for early pollinators such as bees. It's also a great plant for a small garden. This one's big now and they can grow and live up to 100 years, but small dwarf varieties are actually great because they can be grown in pots. And actually the Malus sylvestris is actually an ancestor of the first cultivated apple, of which there are about 6,000 varieties. So this is elder, or Sambucus nigra, and it is a brilliant food for moths and caterpillars. And in the spring it has these beautiful white flowers that are fabulous for pollinators. It can grow up to about 15 metres and it can live for about 60 years. And in the summer, with the lovely beautiful flowers, you can make amazing elderflower cordial, and in the autumn it has these beautiful dark berries which are brilliant for birds. This is rowan, or Sorbus aucuparia, and it has these beautiful flowers in the springtime which provide pollen and nectar for bees and other pollinating insects, whilst the berries provide a rich source of food in the autumn for birds. Rowans also have beautiful autumn colour, reds, oranges and golds. If you only have a small garden, consider the variety rosiness, which will only grow to around 4 metres in height. Otherwise, mature trees like this one can grow to 15 metres and live for around 200 years. These are just some of the trees that can provide excellent sources of pollen and nectar for pollinators, as well as shelter and places for overwintering. Even the smallest garden can have a tree, even if it's planted in a pot. We hope that this has helped you to decide what tree to plant in your garden.